Shimon Berebi, Dikar Mishum Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi. So we'll say, so what happened? So one time when Rav Kahana went and he found Rabbi Shimon Berebi, who was saying over there Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi, B'nayim Mizbeach Shenifkam, Shekala Kodshim Shenishchetu Sham Psulim. We'll say, how do we know? So they were discussing this same halacha of Rav. How do we know that if the Mizbeach was chipped, all of the karbanos that were shechted there ultimately are pasul? Shene'emar v'zavachta alaves olasecha v'es shalamecha. So we'll say this is actually quite interesting. So the pasuk over here, which is actually talking about the mizbeach itself, so the pasuk says, "You shall shecht on it your olos and your shlamim." Your olos and your shlamim. So we'll say, so there's a problem. Why? So we'll say, if there's one thing we know, it's what? That karbanos are not shechted on the mizbeach itself. Right? We might not remember a lot of the details regarding karbanos, but there's one thing we do remember, which is you don't shecht the carbon on the mizbeach. If that's the case, then why does the pasuk say v'zavachta alav esolosech? And I will say, now the reason why this probably never bothered us before is why? Because normally we would translate the word v'zavachta as how? As offering. But the truth is, the Torah uses the word of karav, the hikrafta could have used. Zavachta literally means shchita. So why does it say that you shecht on the mizbeach? Ultimately, again, if shchita doesn't really take place on the mizbeach, v'chi alecha tazavech elo. Rather, what does it come to teach me? Kishu shalin v'lo kishu chaser. So I'll say the way the Gemara darshans it is quite interesting. V'zavachta alav esolasecha means that ultimately, again, when the way the Gemara darshans it is, when the Mizbeach has its identity, i.e. it is intact, then you could go ahead and shecht karbanos. But when the Mizbeach is not intact, and therefore again its identity is not intact, you may not shecht karbanos. So if zavachta alav, the Gemara is darshaning, you may shecht karbanos when? Alav on the Mizbeach, when the Mizbeach is fully intact. But if the Mizbeach is not intact, any karbanos that ultimately you shecht there, the karbanos will be pasul. Amar, so we'll say when Rav heard this, he said, Hainukra di ishta, excuse me, when Rabbi Yossi, when Rav Kahana heard this, he said, Amar Hainukra di ishtamat leil Rav. Oh, that's the pasuk. That's the pasuk that Rav was looking for. So we'll say, so this is the position of Rav, that if the Mizbeach is chipped in some way, and it seems to be even just a minor chip, that the halacha is any karbanos that are shechted during that time that the Mizbeach is not fully intact, ultimately again are pasul. That's Rav. Rabbi Yochanan says, Echad zeh ve'echad zeh psulin. Rabbi Yochanan comes along about saying he has a more expansive position. And he says, Echad zeh ve'echad zeh. If you take a look at Rashi for just a moment, it's in the intermediate wide lines of Rashi. Echad zeh ve'echad zeh. Bein shenishchetu b'shas pigimasan. Bein shenishchetu achar tikuno psulin. Kol hakochim shayu kedoshin ba'osa shah. Both say, listen to this. Rabbi Yochanan says, not only are karbanos which are shechted at the time when the mizbeach was chipped, not only are they pasul, but even what? Any carbon which was sanctified at the time that the mizbeach was chipped will also be pasul. Now, what's Rabbi Yochanan's logic? So Rashi says over here, he says, Lefi sheniru v'nitchu v'kasavar ba'alei chai nitchin kishchutin. So we'll say, what Rabbi Yochanan essentially says is as follows, that essentially, when you shecht the carbon, when you shecht the carbon and the mizbeach is chipped, so because the carbon can't be offered up, therefore the carbon is pasul. Okay, that I understand. Rabbi Yochanan says, even if the carbon is still alive, right? The animal is heg, the animal is mekudash, animal is kudash, but it can't be offered up. If an animal can't be offered up on the mizbeach, then by definition, what? He holds what we'll see in just a moment, ba'alei chayin nitchin, that even living animals that have a consecrated status could also be set aside for non-use, or could also be pasul, if at the end of the day their offering is impossible. Because their offering is impossible, because the mizbeach itself is nicked, therefore halacha l'maisa ba'alei chayin nitchin. So we'll say fundamental machlokes in Rav and Rabbi Yochanan. Rav says it's only karbanos that are shechted that become pasul when the mizbeach is damaged. But other karbanos which are sanctified, animals which are sanctified but are still alive, are totally fine. You just have to wait for what? For the mizbeach to be repaired. Rabbi Yochanan says no. Both shchutim as well as animals that are consecrated at the time that the mizbeach is nicked, ultimately again will all be pasal lahakrava. So the Gemara says, "B'may pligi." What are they arguing about? So Rashi kind of already spoiled it a little bit. I mean, not in a bad way, in a nice way. B'may pligi. Rav savar ba'alei chayin eino nitchin. So I say Rav holds that living animals cannot be nitchin. Living animals, we'll say we've seen this concept of dichui, right? We've seen it by karbanos, we've seen it in other circumstances as well. This concept that once something is set aside for non-use, It cannot be reactivated for use at a later time. So Rav holds Ba'ali Chaim Eina Nitchin. Living animals, although they are already consecrated, cannot be nitcha, cannot be set aside from sacrificial use. Only shchutin, only slaughtered karbanos can be set aside for sacrificial use. Rabbi Yochanan holds no, Ba'ali Chaim Nitchin. Rabbi Yochanan says no, not true. Halacha l'maisa, even living animals can be set aside for animal use. So according to Rabbi Yochanan, if you have an animal designated as a karban, but the problem is what? There is no place, there is nowhere to offer up that karban. Why is there nowhere to offer up that karban? Because halacha l'maisa, the mizbeach is damaged. So halacha l'maisa, we're done. The animal is set aside for non-use. Fine, machlokas, Rav and Rabbi Yochanan. So Meisvei, the Gemara raises the kasha. Kol hakodshim shahayu achlo nivna hamizbeach. Well, this is actually a very interesting case. So the Gemara brings the following brisa. Any karbanos, kol hakodshim, any animals that were set aside, that were sanctified, consecrated, achlo nivna hamizbeach. Before the mizbeach was built, Rashi says over here, achlo nivna, mashma kodem shalo banau b'nei hagola. So Rashi says over here that it sounds like over here, the changes it in the Shita Mikubet says, kodem shabno b'nei teva shalo nimcha. Fine. So what happens? So if you have any karbanos, kol hakadshim shahayu achlo nivna hamizbeach. So if you have animals that were consecrated as karbanos before the mizbeach was built, va'achar kach nivna mizbeach, and then the mizbeach was built, psulin. Ultimately, again, the karban is possible. So what does that seem to indicate? That seems to support the position of Rabbi Yochanan and against Rav. Because what is it? We'll say, essentially, what does the Raisa seem to be saying? If you consecrated an animal at a time that's what? There was no mizbeach. See, this is just a more extreme case. There's no mizbeach. You consecrated animals before the mizbeach was built, right? So what does the Raisa say? The animal is possible. Which Rabbi say supports Rabbi Yochanan, who holds Ba'alei Chaim Nitchin, and it's against the Rav, who says no, it's only Shchutim that are Nitchin, but Ba'alei Chaim Eino Nitchin. To which the Gemara says, V'achak Dinah Psulin. So the Gemara says Nivne. So the Gemara says Nivne Duchuyin Meikara Ninhu. I don't understand. If we're talking about a case where ultimately again the mizbeach itself was not built yet, then these karbanos are what the Gemara calls duchuyin meikar. If you look at Rashi says over here, it's the first of the widest lines on the bottom. Duchuyin meikar. And Rashi says shekisha hukdishu lo niru. So we'll say if at the end of the day again these karbanos, when they were first sanctified, there was absolutely no way to offer them. Shmamina dichui meikara hava dichui v'tik shelaman damar lo hava dichui. To which the Gemara says ela ad shelo neharas hamizbeach. So we'll say, listen to this. So the Gemara changes it. What are we talking about over here? We're talking about over here is that ultimately, again, karbanos that were sanctified, achelo neheras hamizbeach, before the mizbeach was destroyed. So essentially, what we're talking about over here is that if you have a karban, well, this is actually an interesting case. If you have a karban that was consecrated while the first Beis Hamikdash stood, then what happened? The first Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, and now what happens? You want to offer it up in the second Beis Hamikdash. Okay, so the Gemara says, Neras, I don't understand, how exactly is... Well, so remember again, technically you could have a case like that, because remember, there's only what? There's 70 years in between Bayis Rishon and Bayis Sheni. So I'm saying, like, your carbon is going to have an AARP card by the time, but my point over here is, you could have an animal that side, but there's a bigger problem, the Gemara says. It's an impossible case. Neras, ha'isla, bosai, here's the problem. Karbanos age out. So we'll say there's no such thing as the ability to offer up a 70-year-old carbon, right? There's no such thing as the ability to go ahead and do that. The animal's aged out from karbanos. Neras ha'iskanlu elo achelo nifgam hamizbeach va'achar kach nifgam hamizbeach psulin. So we'll say, so essentially what the Gemara says is as follows. So the Gemara says, no, what's the case? The case over here is where the animal was consecrated before the Mizbeach was chipped, nifkam, before something happened to the Mizbeach. And what happens? V'achar kach nifkam ha-Mizbeach. And then the Mizbeach becomes chipped. What does the Brisa say? The Brisa says, psulin. So the Brisa seems to very clearly indicate and support Rabbi Yochanan's position. Namely that what? That halacha l'maisa ba'alei chayi nitchin. And even, good morning, Mr. Schoenfeld. And even if you have a carbon, ultimately again, even if you have a carbon that ultimately was alive but halacha lemaisa, the carbon, the mizbeach became chipped. Ba'alei chayim nitchin, supports Rabbi Yochanan against Rav. So which the Gemara says, I don't understand. V'lo tarutze kametaratzta, ema shenishchetu. But there's a very easy way to go. We've already spoken about this brisa, and one of the easy resolutions of this brisa is to say, what's the case? We're dealing with the case where the carbon was shechted. So in other words, what the Gemara is saying over here is you have to amend the brisa. The brisa is not talking about a case of where the animal was just simply consecrated, and then the mizbeach was chipped, and now the brisa is saying that the carbon is pasul. We're talking about a case where what? Where the carbon itself was shechted. So if the carbon was shechted, and then the mizbeach, and ultimately again, now this is adding something additional in, which is that if the carbon was shechted and the mizbeach was whole, but before it was offered up, the mizbeach was chipped, so ultimately again the carbon will become pasul. To which the Gemara says, "V'hamar of Gidla Marab." Now here we come to a very interesting thing. Now we're going to get to the halacha lemaisa. We're going to know a little bit of details. So we'll say again, the point that I need you to remember to keep your eye on the ball over here is machlokes Rav and Rabbi Yochanan. What's the machlokes? The mizbeach becomes chipped. Mizbeach gets chipped. Rav says any karbanos that are shechted during this time are all psulin. Now Rav sheet is very understand why they're all psulin. Rabosai. Why? Because you're like a carbon who's dressed up and nowhere to go, right? Mamish, I'm ready to be offered, and there's no mizbeach. There's no suitable mizbeach. So if there's no suitable mizbeach, then the carbon is pasul. Rabbi Yochanan says, not only carbonos which are shechted, but even carbonos which are consecrated during a time that the mizbeach is unusable are also pasul. This is a fundamental machlokes in Rabbi Yochanan and Rav, and we're understanding that the nature of the machlokes ultimately is rooted in the concept of ba'alei chayin nitchin. Can living karbanos be set aside for non-use because of external circumstances or not? Rav says no, therefore his halacha only applies to shchutin. Rabbi Yochanan says yes. So the Gemara says, but one second. This is so interesting. Mizbeach shene'ekar maktirin ketoras b'mkomo. We'll say this is a wild halacha. That will say that ultimately again, if the mizbeach shene'ekar, if the mizbeach is not there. So Rashi points out over here, Mizbeach literally means that the Mizbeach is uprooted. Rashi says, Mizbeach ha-pnimi kamairi, it's 4 lines up from the bottom in Rashi, so also listen to this. The Gemara says, Mizbeach shene'ekar. If the Mizbeach, this is the talking about the Mizbeach ha-kitoras, the inner Mizbeach that was used for incense offering. If the Mizbeach was uprooted, maktirin kitoras bim komo. Ultimately, again, so you could offer up kitoras on the spot of the Mizbeach. Both said, you hear this? This is absolutely wild. This is wild. So literally, again, the Gemara is saying over here, Rav Gila saying the name of Rav, that if for some reason there is no inner or incense Mizbeach, you still offer up Ketoris where? On the floor, on the spot of the Mizbeach itself. Now, both say, why is this important for us? Because this totally changes the previous discussion. Because we would assume whatever applies to the inner Mizbeach also applies to what? To the outer Mizbeach. If that's the case, then what are we effectively saying? That forget about chipped Mizbeachos. It would appear that what? Even if you don't have a Mizbeach at all, you can actually go ahead and offer up karbanos in the spot that the Mizbeach itself stood. Incredible. So the Gemara says, fine. So we'll say, no, here's a difference. That ultimately, again, even in that case, that Rabbi Yehuda agrees b'damim when it comes to blood applications. And Rashi says over here, 3 lines up from the bottom, so we'll say, here's the difference. There's a difference between the Mizbeach Pnimi and the Mizbeach HaChitzon. The Ketoras offering, I will say, is just simply that, it's offering Ketoras. By animal sacrifices, you have the issue of Zrika. You have the issue ultimately of blood applications. Even Rabbi Yehuda, who we're going to see what his sheet is in just a moment, who says that you could offer up Ketoras on the spot of the Mizbeach, even if there is not an actual Mizbeach, agrees that for animal sacrifices, for karbanos, which require blood applications, you require what? An actual Mizbeach. Hachanami moder Rav bidamim. So to Rabbi say, even Rav will agree over here that halacha lemaisa for animal sacrifices you do actually need a mizbeach itself. in order to have blood applications. So my Rabbi Yehuda will say, what's this sheet of Rabbi Yehuda? In other words, the Gemara just says, even Rabbi Yehuda agrees that for blood applications you need a mizbeach. So what's the position of Rabbi Yehuda? We'll say, listen to this. This Sanya, this is really amazing. Bayomahu kidesh hamelech tocha chotzer. So we'll say, listen to this. So the pasuk says, on that day. So this is from Malachim Aleph, when Shlomo HaMelech builds the Beis HaMikdash. So Bayomahu Kidesh HaMelech Tocha Chotzer. So we'll say, so the pasuk in itself reads as follows: Bayomahu Kidesh HaMelech as Tocha Chotzer. That day the king consecrated the inside of the courtyard. Asher Lifnei Beis Hashem. That was before. The Gemara doesn't quote this pasuk. I'm quoting to you the pasuk just so you have the context. Asher Lifnei Beis Hashem Ki Asa Sham Es Ha'ola ve'es Hamincha ve'es Chal ve'Hashlamim. Because he did there. We'll see what the there is. He performed there the Ola, the Mincha, the Chal ve'Hashlamim. Ki mizbach hanachoshes asher lifnei Hashem katon mehachil as ha'ola ve'es hamincha ve'es chal ve'ashlamim. Because the mizbeach hanachoshes, literally the copper altar, which I will say is the mizbeach hachitzon, is the outer altar for animal sacrifices, was too small to go ahead and accommodate all of the olos, the mincha, and the chal ve'hashlamim. So we'll say, what the pasuk seems to be describing over here, I'm going to jump on this in the Gemara in just a moment, it sounds like Shlomo HaMelech offered up karbanos on the day of the consecration of the Beis HaMikdash, even beyond the confines of the actual Mizbeach itself. Inside the Beis HaMikdash, but beyond the confines of the Beis HaMikdash. Why? Because it appears that the Mizbeach was too small to accommodate all of the karbanos that Shlomo HaMelech was bringing. So now, with that pasuk, let's jump back into the Gemara. This Sanya, Bayomahu Kidesh HaMelech Tocha Chotzer. That day, Shlomo HaMelech, so we'll say, here's what we're going to focus on. Shlomo HaMelech consecrated the Chotzer. He consecrated the courtyard of the Beis HaMikdash. Why? Now, here's what's interesting. The pasuk tells me that he did it. Why did he do it? Now, the pasuk could remain silent. But yet the pasuk says he did it. Why? Ki mizbeach. Now this is the Gemara adds in. Sha'asa Moshe katan me'achil. So they had a mizbeach. Remember again, Shlomo doesn't need to build the mizbeach from scratch. Which mizbeach did they have? We'll say the mizbeach of Moshe Rabbeinu, which was the mizbeach of the Mishkan. So it sounds like what happened over here is as follows: Shlomo HaMelech has a mizbeach. It's the mizbeach of Moshe Rabbeinu. What's the problem? The problem is that it was too small. So what did he do in order to accommodate mass offerings? He was Mekadesh the Ritzpah. He was Mekadesh the Azara. He was Mekadesh the entire courtyard area, so as to enable him, it sounds like, to offer up karbanos in that space as well. So watch this. Dvarim kichsavan divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says, literally, this pasuk is to be understood explicitly as it is written. Now look at Rashi. I told you this is very exciting. Dvarim kichsavan. 3 lines are from the Mandar Kisavan. Shekidesh has haritzba kula shem ezech. We'll say, here it is. This is wild, no? This is wild. I'm gone for a week, and the excitement factor totally ebbs away. Nobody's excited about Zevachim anymore. All right, so listen to this. So what happens? Dvarim kichsavan. So the Gemara says over here, the pasuk is to be understood literally. Shekidesh as haritzba kula l'shem mizbeach. We'll say this is wild. Rabbi Yehuda says Shlomo HaMelech consecrated the entire floor area of the courtyard to have this mizbeach status. Incredible. So the entire. By the way, just so you should understand, this has major ramifications. It has such an incredible ripple effect on so many different levels. The shaila now is going to become what? Who is able to go into the courtyard? What are you able to do in the courtyard? But whatever, we'll leave that on the side. But the point of Rabbi Yehuda said, Dvarim kichsavan. Literally, Shlomo HaMelech was Mekadesh the Ritzpah. He literally consecrated and sanctified the entire floor of the Azara, l'shem mizbeach, lahaktira leha, in order to be able to offer up karbanos. Lefi shahaya hamizbeach katan me'achil olos ushlamim shekrivu lechanukas hamizbeach. For one simple reason, this was a simple utilitarian reason, which was the mizbeach was too small. The Mizbeach was too small to accommodate the sheer volume of all of the karbanos which were being offered up on the day of the dedication of the Mishkan. So I want to point something out. This was not an ongoing issue. This was a one-time issue. This was a consecration issue. Right? This was a dedication issue. This was a ribbon-cutting issue. This wasn't on an ongoing level. The Mizbeach would be just fine. But the sheer volume of karbanos on dedication day required Shlomo to consecrate the entire floor. Fine. So the Gemara says, "That's Rabbi Yehuda." Amr Rabbi Yossi. So Rabbi Yossi says to him as follows. So we'll say, "V'halo kvar ne'emar." Now, before you turn the page, go back, turn back, right? Look at the last Rashi. Amr Rabbi Yossi, "V'halo kvar ne'emar." B'mizbeach she'asa Moshe b'midbar shai b'no v'givam. So we'll say, Rabbi Yossi says, one second, Rabbi Yehuda. When it comes to the mizbeach that Moshe Rabbeinu made, now you can turn the page. Amr Rabbi Yossi, "V'halo kvar ne'emar." But doesn't it already say, "Elef olos ya'ale Shlomo ala mizbeachahu"? So we'll say the pasuk says that Shlomo HaMelech would offer up 1,000 olos on the Mizbeach. V'ilu bebeis olamim hu omer, vayizbach Shlomo es zevach hashlamim asher zevach laHashem, bakar esrim ushnayim elef. So we'll say, now listen to this, that the pasuk also says that vayizbach Shlomo Melech would offer up the zevach hashlamim asher zevach laHashem, bakar esrim ushnayim elef. Now both say, now that pasuk that the Gemara is also quoting from Malachim Aleph goes on to discuss the sheer volume of karbanos. So I'll just read to you the pasuk in its entirety. Vayizbach Shlomo, es zevach hashlomo asher zavach laHashem bakar esrim ushnayim elef, son mea ve'esrim elef. So we'll say, just so you should know, on the day of the dedication of the Mishkan, so they offered a total of 142,000 karbanos. 142,000 karbanos, which I will say is a staggering number, but also tells you what? About the incredible wealth, right? That is a lot of livestock. That's a lot of livestock. So incredible. So watch this. So now we know the Shlomo. So remember, the first pasuk says, "Elef olos yal Shlomo mizbeachahu." The Shlomo was able to offer up 1,000 karbanos on the mizbeach, and on the day of the consecration, they offered up 142,000. Ukisha'ata ma'agia lecheshbon olos uleminyan amos. Zeh gadol mizeh. Ultimately, again, I will say, so the Gemara says, and Rashi does all of the calculations with this, which we're just not going to get into. But the point here the Gemara makes is, it sounds like that the Mizbeach of Moshe Rabbeinu would have been more than enough to accommodate the carbonic flow of Shlomo Melech. And there should have been absolutely no need for Shlomo Melech to be Mekadesh the Ritzpah, to consecrate the floor, to be used for sacrificial use. So we'll say, here's the problem. So now we have a fundamental machlokes, Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says, Dvarim kich savan. Literally, again, the pasuk says, I just want to point out, what Rabbi Yehuda has going for him is as follows, which is that halacha l'maisa is what the pasuk says. The pasuk says that, Bayomahu kidesh hamalach tocha chaser, ki mizbeach katan me'achil. So literally, again, the pasuk says Shlomo consecrated the floor because the mizbeach ultimately, again, was too small to accommodate. So Yehuda says, listen, this is a pasuk in Navi. I'm going to take the pasuk at its face value. The pasuk says that Shlomo consecrated the floor of the Azara because there wasn't enough room on the mizbeach to offer up the karbanos. Done. Rabbi Yossi says, no, it's not true. The mizbeach of Moshe was large enough to accommodate ultimately, again, what they needed for the consecration day. So if you're Rabbi Yossi, here's the problem, which is what? What do you do with the pasuk? Just what do you do with the pshuto shel mikra? What do you do with the pasuk that says that Shlomo HaMelech was mekadesh the ritzbah because the mizbeach was too small? To which Rabbi Yossi will say, so the Gemara says, Elo mahuk, Nun Testament base 2, 4, 6 lines down from the top. Elo mahu kata me'achil. So we'll say, what does it mean when it says that the mizbeach was too small to accommodate? This is actually very interesting. Ke adam ha'omer lechaveiro ploni nanasu upasa la'avoda. We'll say the mashal to this is like someone who says that his friend is a midget, and understanding from based on that halacha l'maaseh is pasuk from avoda. In other words, we'll say, what does this mean? So the mashal. Look at Rashi for just a moment. Rashi says over here, Ke adam she'omer lechaveiro ba'adam shenifsa. So we'll say the halacha is that if a kohen has certain mumin, if he has certain blemishes, they disqualify him from doing the avodah. One of them is if a person is a midget, it goes ahead and disqualifies him from doing the avodah. So the Gemara says it's not nice to tell someone. It's not nice to tell someone that they're a puzzle. Nice to tell someone that you're puzzle from the avodah. So what would you say? You would say the person is a midget. I guess in Talmudic times that was the nice way of saying it. I don't know. I think we could reframe it in different ways. But the idea is that sometimes you can make a statement, and from that statement, you infer other things. So you wouldn't say to someone, you're puzzle from the avodah. You would say, oh, Ploni is a nanos, Ploni is a midget. And inferred from that is that what? Is that he can't ultimately do the avodah. So we'll say, so what does that mean for our purposes? Look at Rashi. Like I'm talking to my friend regarding someone, ba'adam shenifsal. For someone ultimately, again, who's puzzle for the avodah, nanas ploni. Lishna ma'alya. It's a nice way to say, velo amar nifsal ploni. Well, you never want to say another person is puzzle. Another person is puzzle. So instead of saying, I want to say he's puzzle, say he's a midget. V'nifsal avodah. Rashi says, Lav maskana da adam omer, ella Rabbi Yossi ka'amarla, va'osa ploni pasol la'avoda, v'hu kore lo nana. So we'll say, this is actually interesting. So what the Gemara seems to be saying is as follows, that what the Pasuk was saying is that ultimately, again, the Mizbeach of Moshe Rabbeinu would not ultimately be enough in order to accommodate the carbonic flow. On the day of, it's possible that it could have, but going forward, it wouldn't be enough to accommodate carbonic flow. So instead of going ahead and saying that what? That the Mizbeach of Moshe was puzzle, instead the Gemara kind of uses a little bit of a nicer lashon. I just want to find Kimizbach anachoshes asher lifnei Hashem katan mehachil. So we'll say, instead of saying ultimately again, see what the Gemara is saying as Rabbi Yossi is saying is as follows, is they decommissioned the Mizbeach of Moshe Rabbeinu. At the end of the day, Shlomo HaMelech builds his own Mizbeach. But instead of saying they puzzled the Mizbeach of Moshe Rabbeinu, right? They decided not to use it anymore. Instead, the pasuk just used a little bit of a nicer lashon. You know what? It's just too small for our. It's just too small. Too small. Now, was it too small? What was I saying? Was it too small? At least according to Rabbi Yossi, the answer is no. But you don't want to say we're decommissioning the Mizbeach of Moshe Rabbeinu. So I'll say it's like a big thing. We're decommissioning the Mizbeach of Moshe Rabbeinu. You don't want to say this. So instead you just say, you know what? Oh, we need something that could accommodate more people. We need something that could accommodate a bigger flow. But in fact, Rabbi Yossi says, factually, the Mizbeach of Moshe Rabbeinu was enough. We just didn't want to say he's puzzle for the kuna. Instead, we say he's a midget. We don't want to go. It really just doesn't come out right. But you understand, right? I don't want to say that I'm building a new mizbeach because I don't want to use the mizbeach of Moshe Rabbeinu. So instead, we say we need something that could accommodate a greater carbonic flow. Rabbi Yossi says, but when we're factually honest, the mizbeach of Moshe Rabbeinu was in fact larger. So we'll say this is, by the way, this is just quite fascinating in general because this is a fundamental historical machlokes in Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yehuda, just about the size of the Mizbeach, as we're going to see. To which the Gemara says, Rabbi Yehuda, Shaper, Kamar Rabbi Yossi. So to which the Gemara says, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi is saying good. Rabbi Yehuda, Latame, Damar Mizbeach, Shasa Moshe, Gadol Haya. So also Rabbi Yehuda goes according to his reasoning. He says that ultimately it's true. The Mizbeach that Moshe Rabbeinu made was in fact large. This Sanya Chamesh Amos Orech. V'chamesh amos rochav. Dvarim kichzavam div Rabbi Yossi. So both say the pasuk says by the mizbeach. It was 5 amos in length, 5 amos in width. These are the and Dvarim kichzavam Rabbi Yossi understands the dimensions to be understood literally. Rabbi Huda Omer ne'emar kan ravua. So both say it says over here that the mizbeach is to be squared. V'ne'emar lahalon ravua. And it says over there that the Mizbeach is to be squared. So both sides, the pasuk. So we're going to see over here, by the way, that the Gemara is going to compare the Mizbeach of Moshe Rabbeinu to the prophetic vision of Yecheskel. So it says over here, by the Mizbeach of Moshe Rabbeinu Ravu, it's to be square. And it says by Yecheskel, it's to be square as well. Just like by Yecheskel, ultimately again, the Mizbeach is measured from its center. So too by Moshe Rabbeinu, the Mizbeach was measured from its center as well. V'hasam minal, and Rabbi say, from where do we know that Mizbeach by Yecheskel, it was measured from its center? To which the Gemara says, Dechsev v'ha'ariel shtei mesrei amo l'chol ruach. Because the pasuk says the Ariel. Now the Ariel, the Gemara understands over here to be a reference. Ultimately, again, Rashi says over here, it's in the wider lines of Rashi, like right in the middle. V'ha'ariel makom ma'aracha sham mizbeach. We'll say that was the place. The ma'aracha was the pyre, was the pile of wood. So we'll say that area was 12 amos, l'chol ruach, in every direction. O ena elo yud beis al yud beis, or perhaps it was only 12 by 12 in totality. Kishu omer el arba'as reviav melamed sheme'emtsohu moded. We'll say when it says ultimately again to its four corners, so you understand that it is being measured ultimately again from the middle. Rabbi Yossi will say, Ki gamar gzeir shava begofhu hu de gamar. We'll say when they make it the gzeir shava ultimately again between the mizbeach of Moshe Rabbeinu and the mizbeach as described in Yecheskel, ultimately again that gzeir shava we'll say is made regarding its height. This sanya, because we learn V'shalosh amos komaso dvarm kichsavan. Also, the pasuk says that ultimately the mizbeach will be 3 amos in height. These words are to be understood literally. These words are Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda's position. We've seen this. This is Rabbi Yehuda's position on an ongoing basis. Dvarm kichsavan. That ultimately again we take the pasuk at its face value, and that halacha mais when it says it was 3 amos in height, it's 3 amos in height. Rabbi Yossi Omer ne'emar kan ravua. Also, Rabbi Yossi says it says over here by the Mizbeach Hachitzon by Moshe Rabbeinu, the outer Mizbeach of the Mishkan, Ravua, V'ne'emar lahalon Ravua. And both say it says, so both say these two psukim, the first pasuk is by the outer Mizbeach of Moshe Rabbeinu, which is the Mizbeach of the Mishkan, and the second Ravua is by the Mizbeach HaPnimi, the inner Mizbeach for Ketoras, by Moshe Rabbeinu as well. Ma lahalon gov ho pishnaim karko, just like I will say over there, its height is double its length. Afkan pishnaim karko, so to over here again, its height will be double its length. Rabbi Yehuda, v'alo kvar ne'emar, but the pasuk already says, v'alo kvar ne'emar, v'esachatzer mea ama v'koma chamish amos, efshar koin omed al gabe mizbeach, v'avoda biyado, v'chala am loen osumi b'chutz. Now, say here's the problem. So Rabbi Yehuda says, if you go according to these calculations, we'll say that means that what? That when the Kohen stood on top of the mizbeach doing the avoda, he essentially was above the curtains of the Mishkan. As we're going to see in just a moment, there are walls around the Mishkan. Why are there walls around the Mishkan, Abosai? So the Gemara, so we understand those walls are to create an atmosphere of privacy. That the avoda, which we'll discuss this theme in greater depth, but it's niusa, it's for modesty purposes, which is the idea that what happens within the Mishkan, Abosai, is supposed to be a little bit more of a private ordeal. But if you go with the measurements as just espoused, that means that when the Kohen is standing on top of the Mizbeach doing the avoda, the people could see him on the outside. It's also that the Kohen is standing on top of the Mizbeach doing the avoda and everyone else sees him. Rabbi Yossi says, 1 second, but the pasuk explicitly says that what? Which means the posts of the chatzar, masach sharachatzar, literally the curtains, the mechitzos, right? The curtains or the walls of the chatzar, masach sharachatzar. We'll say the masach was the wall. Also, remember these are all curtain walls, right? The curtain walls of the entranceway to the Mishkan. I'm sorry, lost the place. Ma Mishkan Yud Amos, Av Mizbeach Yud Amos. Just as the walls surrounding the Mishkan ultimately again were 10 amos high, so B'Pashtus again, the walls surrounding the Mizbeach, but it's all the same walls, were also 10 amos high. V'omer kilayim chamish esrei amo. Alakaseh, but also here's the problem. The other problem is that the pasuk says that the kilayim, the other curtains around the Mizbeach, were 15 amos. We'll say top of Samach. Kilayim chamish esrei amo el hakasef. Look at Rashi for just a moment. Ama el hakasef. Eitzel hashar v'kasaka daitcha begover ka'amar v'uadin l'chal hachatzer u'ma Talmud lomar hey amos misvas mizbeach u'lemala u'ma Talmud lomar v'shalosh amos kamaso misvas sovev u'lemas. Well, let me go back for just a moment. So what the Gemara now is dealing with over here is a very interesting idea, which is, so how tall, the ramifications of the impact of how tall the Mizbeach is, plus has a direct impact on how tall the walls around the Mizbeach are as well. How tall the walls around the Mishkan are as well. Because the assumption is that the goal of the walls is to obscure sacrificial service from the sight of those around. Right? Just the outside. So the problem the Gemara is encountering is based on the measurements given for the Mizbeach, it would appear that the walls themselves are not tall enough. What the Gemara just wanted to suggest is as follows. The pasuk says, Kilayim chamesh esrei ama, ama ela kasef. Ma Talmud lomar hey amos, Misvas mizbeach ulamala. So we'll say, so the potential remedy that the Gemara is giving over here is as follows. Look at Rashi, Samech Amud Aleph, second line, Misvas mizbeach ulamala, lemala mina mizbeach hayagolvan he amos. So we'll say, Se'enach inami, the Gemara is suggesting that the walls of the Mishkan extended 5 amos higher than the top of the Mizbeach. So we'll say, so if you think about that, by the way, so 5 amos higher than the top of the Mizbeach would essentially make the walls what? So about, let's say, 7 feet above the top of the Mizbeach, which would effectively what? Which would effectively screen in the Kohen, no one would be able to see in. Ayumat Talmud Lomar Shalosh Amos Kamaso. But we'll say, so what's the meaning of the pasuk when the pasuk says that it was only 3 amos, right? That it was only 3 amos Kamasa. So we'll say the pasuk over here that the Gemara is quoting from is Va'asisam Mizbeach. I'd say Shitim Chamesh Amos Orech veChamesh Amos Rochav Revuya v'Shalosh Amos Kamasa. So we'll say here's the problem. So how does that work then with saying what do you do with the pasuk that says that the height of the Mizbeach was 3 amos? To which the Gemara says, Misvas sovev ulamala. Ultimately, again, when the Torah says that the height of the Mizbeach was 3 amos, that's not measuring from the ground. That's measuring from what we call the sovev. We'll say, as we're going to see, the Mizbeach had like a, what's the right word for it? Like a, it's a rim, but it's not on the top. Like a band that went around the Mizbeach. It was a beautifully decorated band that went around the Mizbeach itself. We'll discuss it more tomorrow. When the Torah says that the height of the Mizbeach was 3 amos, that's not measured ultimately again from the ground, but rather what is that measured from? From the band and upwards was 3 amos and up. So both say what comes out. We're actually going to stop over here because I want to tell you 2 pieces of halacha l'maisa. What seems to be coming out of Rabosai is what? Is that halacha l'maisa, that in fact the height of the walls extended 5 amos above the top of the Mizbeach, which Rabosai makes the walls a little bit larger than we originally thought. We're going to discuss this more tomorrow, but that's how the Gemara is understanding. So everyone's agreeing that the Kohen needs to be walled in for the Avodah, and halacha l'maisa, the walls extended 5 amos above the top of the Mizbeach. So we'll say this is all Rabbi Yossi. We're going to have to come back tomorrow morning to the sheet of Rabbi Yehuda, but we'll stop over here for today, but let me just end off with 2 important pieces of halacha l'maisa. So we'll say, remember again, you've been thinking this entire time, but 1 second, whatever happened to Rav and Rabbi Yochanan, right? Remember them? Rav and Rabbi Yochanan. So what was the machlokes of Rabbi Yochanan? We'll say that what happens if you go out and you shecht a carbon at a time when the mizbeach is unusable? So remember again, the example the Gemara gave for unusability is what? Is if the mizbeach was chipped. So Rav says any carbonos shechted during that time will be puzzle. Rabbi Yochanan says not only carbonos which are shechted, but what? Even carbonos which are designated will be puzzle. So we'll say, how do we paskin? So watch this. The Rambam in Psuli HaMukdoshin. Psuli HaMukdoshin writes as follows. This is Parakim Halacha Chaf Beis. Get ready. Mizbeach shenifkam nifsalu kalakajim shoyisham shchuti b'mikdash shadai lo nizrak taman. We'll say the halacha is that if the mizbeach was chipped and therefore unusable, because we established the mizbeach must be whole in order to be used, any karbanos that were shechted that have not yet had zrika done, ultimately again are puzzles. So what the Rambam just added in is something very important, which is what? And this is really dramatic. It goes without saying that what? That any karbanos which were shechted after the mizbeach was chipped, certainly will be puzzle. Right? That goes without saying. But even what? I'll tell you something even bigger, which is even karbanos which were shechted before the mizbeach became chipped, but what? Did not yet have zrika done on the mizbeach, will be puzzle as well. Shari ein sham mizbeach lizrak alav. Because also remember again, we've already seen the ikar is zrika, and if there is not an intact mizbeach for zrika purposes, then ultimately again the karbanos will be puzzle. Shari ein sham mizbeach lizrak alav dam v'ne'amar v'zavachta alaves on losecha v'shlamecha kilomar tizbach v'omid b'tikun ala pagam. We'll say watch this. So therefore again, the Rambam says halacha l'maisa number 1: any karbanos which were shechted while the mizbeach was chipped, or even karbanos which were shechted before the mizbeach became chipped, but what did not yet have zrika done, will be puzzle. Chav Gimel, aval kodshim chayim shahayu sham ba'azar kishenifgam lo nifsalu. Rabbi say the Rambam says we do not paskin like Rabbi Yochanan. Any animals which were already consecrated, or even were consecrated at the time the mizbeach were chipped, do not become puzzle. Ella Kishiyibana hamizbeach yikravu she'ein ba'alei chayim nitchin. Because we'll say ultimately again, what happens? Halacha l'maisa, we don't paskin like Rabbi Yochanan, we paskin like Rav. Ein ba'alei chayim nitchin. So what happens if you consecrated a carbon at the time? That's what? That the mizbeach was chipped, or you consecrated it before it became chipped, and then it became chipped. We'll say, what's the status of the carbon? What's the status of the carbon? It's kosher. It's kosher. You just what? You just what? Now, you can't do anything with it. You just have to wait ultimately again until ultimately the Beis HaMikdash, until the Mizbeach is repaired. And ultimately again, you'll be able to go ahead and offer it then. I will say now one more piece. So I will say, therefore, we see halacha l'maisa, who do we paskin like? We paskin like Rav. That it is only karbanos which are shechted that ultimately are negatively impacted, but karbanos which are just consecrated are not negatively impacted by the inability to offer them up on the mizbeach. One more piece and then we'll go. We'll stop for today. Chav Daled. Get ready for this. This is fascinating. Hikdish behemos achil nivna hamizbeach. We'll say, what about a case where I was makdish a karban before the mizbeach was even built? So we'll say, let's say today, I mamish, like, I believe in Mashiach so much that I want to buy, I want to have an Ola. I just want to have an Ola in my backyard. I know I can't do anything with it right now, but I just want to buy it, and I want to consecrate it. So I'll say, so what's the halacha? So hikdish be'mas. So now this is we'll say, this is halacha l'maisa. I can't say I've gotten many shilas about this, but I could imagine that a person says, I'm very messianically oriented. I want to go ahead and I want to buy a carbon. I want to buy it now. I want to be makdish it now. I know I can't do anything for it, but I want to hold it until Mashiach comes to the Beis HaMikdash is rebuilt. So can I do it? Hikdish be'ma achlo nifna hamizbeach kishibana makriven also shadichui meikara eno dichui. We'll say halacha l'maisa. It's okay. The meaning I will say, even though we do not paskin that dichui meikara dichui, we do not say that ultimately, again, consecrating an animal when there is no mizbeach permanently sets it aside for non-use. So that halacha l'maisa, if you want to go ahead and set aside a karban now, technically speaking, you could go ahead and do it. Obviously, it's not a good idea because you have to go ahead and hold on to that carbon ultimately until the Beis HaMikdash comes. But technically, if a person were to do it, so if you were to consecrate an animal now, even though there is no Beis HaMikdash, when the Beis HaMikdash comes, you have the absolute ability to be makrivit. We'll stop over here.